Hello, adventurers! My name is Chance, welcome to my Spellbook, and thank you so much for tuning in to the 41st episode of our background series. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Rakdos Cultist, which flavor-wise has got to be one of my favorite all-time backgrounds. Really cool stuff. This is found in the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, so you know it's got some real wallop it's packing. In any case, if this is the first time you are seeing one of these videos, or if you've only seen part of the series, please do click on that little eye icon up in the top corner there, or wait until the end and click on one of the end screens if you want to view the playlist in its entirety, which of course I would highly recommend you do. In any case, let's talk about this, I don't know whether you want to consider nightmare fuel or not, but let's take a look at the description for this here background. You are a member of a cult devoted to an ancient demon who delights in violence and chaos. It just so happens that Rakdos loves a good show, and your highest aspiration is to please the Defiler, the Lord of Riots, with your own performance. Basically what this really reminds me of is Cicero from Skyrim, like the whole Dark Brotherhood thing. This is like literally him. Like this is his whole shtick in a nutshell. Really, it's kind of oddly consistent. Let's take a look at their extended spell list here. As cantrips, you gain both Firebolt and Vicious Mockery. As first level spells, you gain Burning Hands, Dissident Whisper, and Hellish Rebuke. At second level, you gain Crown of Madness, Enthrall, and Flaming Sphere. At third level, Fear and Haste. Fourth level spells include Confusion and Wall of Fire, and at fifth level, you gain Dominate Person. A lot of these are really cool flavor-wise, but in terms of mechanics, they're alright. In terms of standouts, Firebolt is great just because of the range on it. Hellish Rebuke is really nice if you don't have a need for your reaction. Crown of Madness, depending on circumstances, can be absolutely amazing. Enthrall is interesting too, and Flaming Sphere, if you don't have a need for your bonus action, can reap a lot of damage. At third level, Haste is an obviously praised one, but I think Fear is slightly better in more cases than not. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on that, but Haste is really only good for martial characters and getting out of scenarios in a pinch, where Fear is kind of good for everyone and still good for getting out of scenarios in a pinch, so that's kind of how I'm looking at it. Confusion is a little bit random, but has some pretty nice effects. Wall of Fire is a solid choice for not only DPS, or DPR I guess, but also in terms of thematics, and Dominate Person is of course great. But the standouts for me are going to have to be Firebolt, Hellish Rebuke, and Flaming Sphere, just for the record. Now let's move on to its mechanics here. Skill proficiencies include Acrobatics and Performance, which of course makes sense given the context of your character, and tool proficiency is one type of musical instruments. Its language options are rather unique, either taking Abyssal or Giant. I feel like most people are going to pick Abyssal, although Giant is probably going to be more useful. It would be worth, of course, discussing with your Dungeon Master what they think would be best, and kind of going off of that. You also get a ridiculous amount of equipment, which is really interesting, namely a Rakdos Insignia, musical instrument, the one you kind of chose proficiency in earlier, a costume, a hooded lantern made of wrought iron, 10-foot length of chain with sharply spiked links, a tinderbox, which is used for starting fires, 10 torches, a set of common clothes, a belt pouch containing 10 GP, a bottle of sweet red juice, which is pretty cool stuff overall. If you're curious about the tinderbox in terms of an item, you can use it to light torches, anything like exposed fuel takes an action, and lighting other fire takes about 1 minute. Very cool stuff. Now let's move on to its feature here. Its feature is called Fearsome Reputation. People recognize you as a member of the cult of Rakdos, and they are careful not to draw your anger or ridicule. You can get away with minor criminal offenses, such as refusing to pay for food at a restaurant or breaking down a door at a local shop. If no legal authorities witness a crime, most people are too daunted by you to report wrongdoing to the Azurius. Now, something worth pointing out here is this is almost identical to the pirate background from the player's handbook, with just a couple words added in here and there, which kind of make it replace the pirate in some sense or another, depending on how you're looking at it. And as with the pirate, it has the same upsides and downsides. The upsides is there's a strong argument to be made for this feature scaling as you do more thuggish or evil or threatening type things. Outside of that, there are drawbacks, namely that just because no one reported you doing something doesn't mean that they don't know you did something, right? So you're likely not going to be met with open arms. People might be nice to your face, but behind your back, I can almost assure you, they're not going to be your biggest fan. What that translates to in terms of gameplay is just make sure you're checking your food and drink for saliva before you partake too deeply. Now let's move on to some suggested characteristics here. Personality, I revel in mayhem, the more destructive the better. Under ideal, hedonism, death comes for everyone, so take as much pleasure as you can from every moment of life. And this is a relatively neutral position. Under bond, I am devoted to Rakdos and live to impress him, and flaw, I throw caution to the wind, which kind of blends with the ideal, right? I feel like this is what a lot of Rakdos players are going to be like, kind of reckless, a little bit crazy, or maybe a lot crazy. After all, you're literally performing for someone known as the Defiler, so bear that in mind. Also, this might blend in interesting ways with other backgrounds, the Grinners in particular, seeing as though they are kind of revolutionaries in their own right, and you revel in riots and mayhem, so, I don't know, the two might go hand in hand in more ways than not. Now let's get to my personal thoughts. As with most of the Guildmaster Guide to Ravnica backgrounds, I am quite fond of the Rakdos Cultist. Is it too good? You know, maybe in some scenarios, in political campaigns or in social dominant campaigns, this might have more advantages than any other background. That being said, though, if you really do factor this into most day-to-day campaigns, you're really not going to reap too many benefits from this, at least not without incurring some drawbacks along the way. Its feature can be pretty good, but also requires a decent amount of roleplay and decent rolls. After all, if you try to threaten somebody who is much larger, much tougher than you, and who doesn't really care about the societal ramifications for harming you, you're probably likely to get into more trouble than you are to receive any benefit from pursuing that type of feature too often. In any case, let me know what you think of the Rakdos Cultist down beneath in the comment section. Be sure to mention any thoughts, questions, comments, ideas, or concerns you might have regarding them, as well as any cool character ideas or stories from your past. And if you'd like a free one-shot, please go to the Guild Hall and use code WELCOME to do so. And as always, guys, I hope you have a great day and happy adventuring.